and the second in Africa, just after Egypt, which received $31.5 billion, which is just about 30% of the total remittances in 2021. Many Nigerians in diaspora believed that the Nigerian government has not successfully and adequately optimized the wealth of knowledge, skills, and funds in the Nigerian diaspora community. Although the creation of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission through its act, which was enacted in 2017, was designed to coordinate and galvanize the potentials of Nigerians in the diaspora. And joining me to discuss the issues is Dr. Gbenga Oduntan. Dr. Oduntan is a senior lecturer and associate professor at the School of Law, University of Kent, England. Also being joined by US-based Akinfalaye, an entrepreneur coordinator based at the moment in Pennsylvania in the United States of America. We'll continue this discussion just after this break with my guest. Don't go away.
Raymond Dokpesi, 1951 to 2023.
We work to bring you global issues that shape the world, issues of global agenda that determine our national and common interests, our interests especially in Africa and indeed in Nigeria. And we bring you the behind the scene of the stories through our studio analysis.
Good and efficient legal process is one of the main things that we realize lead to the breaches of human rights in Nigeria.
My assessment of the war in Ukraine is very unfortunate.
The reports and the evidential base we're getting about attacks upon Christians, attacks upon Muslims.
We follow the stories and bring you the report from anywhere to everywhere. This is Kavi Oscar. This flight is heading to Budapest. I'll be boarding this bus now. He's heading straight to Medica. With this hand that has represented the symbol of unity after the war in Rwanda, either global, foreign, or diplomatic relations, even diaspora matters. We bring you all here on Global Matter. For taking the time to join us on the program today, I have my guest both in Kent, England, and of course my guest in Pennsylvania in the United States of America joining us on the program today, looking at the role of the diaspora community in national development. Having given you the facts and the figure around remittances, the role the Nigerian diaspora community play in the economic and financial development of the country, why is it that the Nigerian government has not successfully, based on assessment of those in diaspora, and next the potentials of the diaspora community? What is it that is driving and what is the pull and push factor in the country? And I've got my guest joining me, Gbenga Oduntan. Gbenga Oduntan is of the School of Law at the University of Kent. Gbenga, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Great having you. And also joining us is Dr. Akinfalaye, joining us from the US. Dr. Akinfalaye, thank you for joining us on the program today as well. Gbenga, let me start with you. I mean, you visit Nigeria quite often in a year. You come to a couple of universities in the country, but you have never taken a decision to properly say, look, you want to relocate to the country to give what you're giving to the University of Kent to Nigeria and allow Nigeria benefit from your foreign and wealth of experience in the country. Do you want to share with us some of those concerns you have about totally relocating to the country to do what you're doing in England, here in Nigeria?
Thank you very much for the question, and also thank you for personalizing it. It allows me to personalize my answer as well. It's actually the fact that I really wanted to come back to Nigeria. I even made the move of moving back to Nigeria during my sabbatical year. And this is a sabbatical system that whereby you still continue to get your salary at your home institution, which will be here, while you go for research abroad. So it was a beautiful arrangement for me. I came to Nigeria, I joined a private Nigerian university, and I imagined that immediately after the sabbatical year, I would make the final return to Nigeria. and not come back to the UK. There are two types of diaspora. There are the diaspora that are born in abroad. Those type are settled in their heads. They belong here. But then there are some of us who were fortunate to have become an adult before we moved home, before we moved abroad, I should say. We never really settled abroad. Our brain is always at home, which was why I really wanted to come back home. But what happened was that in that year, I found out that for 5 months, that university I returned to in Nigeria was owing me salaries. They were owing not just myself, everyone salaries. 5 months. So how do you, and to contrast to that, my salary in the UK was arriving on dots on the same day every month throughout that year. How do you leave such certainty for the uncertainty of the entire salary? Forget the fact that the entire salary is not even on the same scale. Any salary at all. It was a difficult choice for me to make. And I had a family. So one thing people forget about going into the diaspora, they think it's difficult to go into the diaspora. Multiply that difficulty by 10. That's how difficult it is when you want to come back from the diaspora home. It's very difficult indeed. And you must calculate that in your decision to move abroad. Because it will be more difficult to move back than it is to even, all the logistics of moving abroad, putting together the funds, all is nothing compared to going back. Going back is very, very difficult. And it's, yeah, please, I'll listen to you.
This is very, very challenging. I can imagine living a kind of settled, certain job in the UK to come back home and start working in an organization, a university for that matter, where your salary, even on a sabbatical, you were being owed 5 months, and you've got your family back in the UK.
Everyone was owed 5 months, yeah.
Let me turn to Dr. Falaye. Aki, right there where you are, I mean, Gbenga just said to us that, look, as adults in Nigeria, fortunate to move to the UK, he was never settled in the UK. He was always looking for an opportunity to come back to Nigeria and give back to the country. Do you ever have such a mind, such a thought that, look, you will return to the country? And what is it that is stopping you from coming back to Nigeria? Dr. Falaye, can you hear me? Dr. Falaye, unmute yourself. Unmute. May I ask you to unmute your audio, please? Hello, Dr. Falaye. Okay, while we're trying to connect with, Dr. Aki Falaye there, Gbenga, let's come back to you. So, considering all these factors, was it only about the issue of salary that was an impediment, or there were other factors?
For me, that was the breaking point. I don't see the other factors.
Were you concerned about security?
I wasn't. I grew up in Nigeria. I know my way around Nigeria. I know what to go out, what time not to come in. I know that a lot of things go wrong, but at the end of the day, it spread the risks. It spread over 180 million people. So there's some safety in that. I mean, everywhere is unsafe if it comes to that. But yeah, security depends on where you are moving back to. I was back in Surulere, the love of my life, the one place that really matters to me, the best geographical location in the world to me, Surulere, Lagos. I'm fine. I know the risk around. I know my risk leaving Surulere, going anywhere and coming back. For me, that was the breaking point. And for an adult, that really is the most important thing, economic certainty. I guess security is a very important thing as you have raised it. But like I said, everywhere can be unsafe. There's some uncertainty as well as to security, even in London.
Absolutely.
It's not exactly the same as Nigeria, but I can cope with that. And okay. I think we can all cope. It was bad. I'm not going to underestimate security. Security appeared to have been very bad recently. But again, it's been improving. Nobody claps for the government about that yet, and we're not expecting people to clap for them. But what I'm trying to say is that even the security risks, we can cope with. But what you can't cope with is your what the Bible calls the 20 score and 10. There's just a narrow band of economic relevance, period when you can be economically relevant. If that narrow band is gone, it's gone.
It's gone.
And that is what makes people, feel jittery. They really want to go out there and earn the dollars, earn the pounds. But my experience and my advice as well is that that's not exactly given. That you can get the best dollars out there, the best pound out there, and still consider yourself a fulfilled Nigerian. A fulfilled Nigerian is a different thing in the head. It's not the person who just goes on holidays once in a year and goes rafting in the river or skiing. A fulfilled Nigerian has certain things that he wants in place by the time he says, I'm retired. What I would tell a lot of people about the diaspora as well is that you may not be able to get that if you come, because you are paying heavy taxes. And the cultural expectations are different, which is why a lot of us try to come. And I'm surprised that, I shouldn't be surprised. I'm pushing against an open door here. Your very good self, Tunde Alabi, you were in London here. We had nice times together, if I may remember. But you did the right thing. You moved back home. I continue having serious envy for you.
What makes you think I'm finally taking the decision to move back home? Thank God for my job that I have in Abuja in that communication.
Enough for me to know that you are weathering the storm very well.
And thank God for my benefactor, Chief Raymond Oduntan, that made life very comfortable for me.
Condolences about that as well. Yeah.
All right, let's try and reconnect with Dr. Falai. Dr. Falai. Okay, all right. So, Gbenga, I know you are in a network that is called WARN, W-A-R-N. There's a network of people in the forefront of campaigning against corruption. Yes. Your organization believes that once corruption is taken out of the Nigerian system, governance will be easier and cheaper, and a couple of other things, the economy will grow. Tell us, what is the brain behind WARN, and why is it that almost everybody in that group is a Nigerian? And how do people intend to contribute to the nation of Nigeria? Or what have you done?
Yes. WARN is an acronym for the World Anti-Corruption Research Network. And the World Anti-Corruption Research Network is a network of global researchers, activists, lawyers in the compliance industry, in the anti-corruption, area of things. And as you said, a heavy part of our membership is Nigerian, but that's because when you have a certain sickness on your body, you will be the one who knows where the medicines for that sickness really is sold in certain chemists. We in the diaspora, we in the network, a lot of us that are from Nigeria, from Africa, we understand that corruption is killing our continent, is killing our country. And that if we are going to make any real changes to the direction of things, we have to take corruption very seriously. So that explains perhaps the majority, membership of Africans and Nigerians. But we also have people from India, we have English people, we have people, it's a world organization, I should say. The point really is, if we do not make Nigeria a place that people feel safe to return their investments, we will not even be able to double, if not triple, the amount of remittances, which I think you mentioned that in the beginning of
Yes, in 2022, Nigeria had $21 billion in remittances back to the country. That was in 2022. I can't imagine how much it will have grown now by 2023, probably going to $23 billion US, even in this just about the second quarter that we got in the country now.
Very good. That has significant impact on reduction of poverty, reduction of other problems, helping in education, helping with healthcare, and generally lifting up the economic growth of the country. However, I am saying here that we can double that figure. If those of us who are in the diaspora had more confidence, you'll be surprised that we can triple what we are sending back home. I'll give you an example. Today is a day for personal anecdotes. I hit upon the idea because I have a home in Nigeria. I said, let me set up what we call an Airbnb. I made the place, furnished it to a high standard, and that would generate, first of all, I employed someone to run the place. I employed someone to do the generator and things like that. Corruption came in between. At some point, the amount that they were asking me for running the generator became astronomical. Then the amount the NEPA, what we used to call NEPA, I don't know whether they are still called NEPA now, electricity, were charging me. There was a guest that came from the US and paid about $1,500 for the few days that for the days they were staying there. I ended up spending about $800 out of it. Believe it or not, $800 out of that on electricity and generator. Till today, I can't explain how it happened. Whether I was swiped, as we are calling it, or whether the electricity is too expensive. So you see a lot of scaling back of possible investments from Nigerians. And then you also read horror stories about people who build. Mine is just a small Airbnb. How about people who come and build hotels? Lots of money. They borrow money from here. They leverage on their mortgages here to bring home serious money, build something, and then they get killed. We've seen that. I don't want to scare anyone. This is the last thing I'm intending to do. But I'm trying to make the point that lack of righteousness kills a nation, just like righteousness exalts a nation.
Absolutely. Now, Gbenga, the government set up what they call the Nigeria Diaspora Commission upon its enactment to galvanize and help coordinate diaspora opportunities among Nigerians outside the shores of Nigeria. In 2017, NITCOM appears to be doing some work. But in your assessment of what NITCOM is doing, do you think the Nigerian government has been able to have fully harnessed the opportunities in the diaspora community, apart from the individual and private remittances coming into the country? Do you think the government has done enough?
I don't think there's any studied, proper harnessing of the diaspora. There is no studied and proper harnessing of the diaspora. As usual, we are just having scattered, brief attention, and we have this diaspora commission, like you said. Abike Dabire has been doing this for the past 25 years or so. That, to me, already is a problem. Surely there must be some change. We are in a democracy. She's probably doing well, but probably there's someone better. I'm not trying to write anybody out of a job, but let's have let's have the diaspora people themselves be on board. People from the US, people from the UK, people from next door, Niger Republic, Ghana. Let's have them coming together to develop ideas on how to harness ourselves. Just waiting for Abike Dabire to run and follow somebody who is in trouble in Saudi Arabia once in a while, and then the rest of it's not static enough. You are raising a very important issue. The diaspora can be harnessed. The diaspora can be made to bring in more investments. Their knowledge and skills alone. We should have a whole department in the proper ministry, well funded, finding out how Nigerians abroad in the diaspora can transfer back knowledge. Knowledge transfer in all fields. Even the Nigerian cleaner in London can transfer back knowledge on how to get cleaning done properly. The kinds of cleaning procedures that are followed in hospitals. Do we even use that in the hospitals back at home? Do we have a system where we can learn that? Do we have a system where we can learn how teachers in the UK change their curriculum once in a while? How many meetings do they hold? What types of meetings do they hold? In the university sector here, for instance, I shudder sometimes when I look at the robust systems that we are forced to follow here. And my brief experience back at home where there was apparently no system at all. Thanks to God, I have not mentioned the university I went to, so I'm going to leave everything quite confidential. But one incident happened, and I will say it very briefly. While I was in that university, during a football match, a fight broke up between the northern students and the Southwest students in that private university. And it was a bad one. And then the Northern students started saying they have been, the usual things with them, that they have been, there's some tribalism going on. And there was a hula baloo. The university responded to that the very next day. They called a huge meeting, Senate and everything. And then they asked, what do we do? This is not good for us. The first question I asked when I got the opportunity to speak is, what is the university's policy on bullying and harassment? And they said, no, don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. That's that if you say that, then that means we have a problem. And I said, what are we doing here? If we don't have a problem, a riot literally broke up due to accusations, and then you are saying we have a problem. You don't have a policy. So, and I saw that they were not willing to. So what I did, because I was quite well placed, I was the dean of the law school in that particular. So I went back home, sat down. Within a week, I came out with a policy on harassment and bullying. I came out with a policy on sexual harassment. I came out with about 3 different policies. These are policies we have here. So in that same way, in many sectors, in chemical engineering, in whatever it is, in aviation, Nigerians are everywhere. We should have a system whereby we collate, even journalism, collate back. Now, the Israelis do this. This is why they are able to leverage on their Jewish population everywhere. And Israel is doing all kinds of wonderful things. Recently, I see them printing food. Israel is in the Middle East. It's a small place. The size of Israel is perhaps the size of Lagos. It's not just the people there. It's their diaspora sending back investment, getting the American states to commit to sending them money as time. The people here as well, what are they called? The Irish people. They are getting the US to help the UK, as if the UK needs help. It's a first world country in itself. So yes, you raise a very important point. We need to tap into the knowledge and skills of Nigerians in the diaspora. They are quite willing to give, but there is no system to. They come home, we come home, each one of us comes home and say, this is how you are still doing this thing. You don't have to do it like this again. The first things Nigerians will do to you, let me tell you, is to tell you, you people that have just come back. You are having a riot arising out of harassment and bullying claims. And then you are saying by having a policy, it means you are admitting you have a problem. So there's a resistance to cultural change as well.
All right, Gbenga, thank you for sharing so much, both personal and academic experience transferred from both Kent at the University of Law there and with us here on the show today. I'm not sure, did you just say Dr. Falai is on the line? Maybe I could just have him for 1 minute. Dr. Akin, thank you for taking the time to join us. You had a technical issue. Are you still there? Dr. Aki, I'm afraid he's not. He's not ready. I'm afraid there's been an issue with your Zoom connection. We wanted to hear your experience from the US, but fortunately we have run out of time. Gbenga, before I let you go, just in 1 minute, what is your advice for the government moving forward?
The new government that we have here now. The new government has to be quite systematic in resolving the many issues that are afflicting the country. I think we have somebody who has a history of being systematic and is a big picture thinker. But the work he has cut for him now is, I don't envy him. I don't think any serious person would envy the government. There has been such a big rot. So I think, yes, the government has to appoint the best technocrats, possibly. I'm sure the politicians will have to be settled as well. They are not in politics for a joke, so they might want the ministerial positions. But the government needs to leverage on the best technocrats that they can get for the real
in and outside Nigeria.
In and outside Nigeria.
All right, Gbenga, thank you.
Very best.
Thank you so much for taking you out of your academic schedule this evening to be part of this program. As usual, your contribution very well appreciated. And our sincere appreciation to our viewers out there. My apologies to Dr. Akinfalai, who left his job, couldn't go to work because I had to force him to stay. But unfortunately, he's been unable to resolve some technical issues around his Zoom. My sincere apologies. This is how far we can go on the program today. Sincere appreciation to all our viewers. Thank you so much, and appreciation to the team that has made this broadcast very possible. Thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.